The death of Ashley Smith in a Canadian prison horrified the country, especially the video of her treatment. Today, officials gave up their legal battle to stop you from seeing more of it. But her case points to an ongoing tension. Prison guards looking for security, while a growing number of inmates determined to hurt themselves are crying out for help. The National's Nick Purdon met with two people who have lived it.
And it's an emotionally draining job. We see a lot of misery on a daily basis.
You can see that they're tired because they have to work long shifts.
There's the fear of sometimes being hurt. Obviously, you know, it's stressful when you're in tough situations.
They were the enemy. I mean, they were the ones who we had to avoid at all costs, and if you did speak with them, you had to avoid sharing anything about yourself.
Guards and inmates. If ever a relationship was broken, this is it. But if ever there was a relationship that needs to work, this is it too. Lives are at stake. What's the relationship between you and the guards when you're in prison?
It was us versus them. You can't trust the guards. I mean, it's not their job to help us. It's their job to keep the institution or the prison running and to keep everyone, quote unquote, safe, but not healthy.
This is Emily. We can't tell you her real name or show her face because she's a young offender.
Show me your hands. You punch brick walls.
Yeah, it was when I couldn't handle the way I was feeling, and I just needed some kind of escape.
Emily spent 10 years in prisons across the country. She suffered from mental illness, and like many inmates, she hurt herself to cope.
What did the guards do when they saw you do something like that?
They punished me. They would take away my privileges, like going out into the yard, and would make me spend more time in my cell.
And what did that do to you?
It just made me feel more isolated. I mean, it didn't address why I was punching the walls in the first place. I needed someone to talk to, not to be left in my cell by myself.
In a nutshell, that's the cycle playing out in prisons across the country. Prisoners hurt themselves, they're punished, and often isolated by the guards, which can lead to more self-harm.
Did you hate the guards?
Some of them. And it was very sad because I know that they didn't go into this job deciding to become what we see as the enemy. That many authentically believe that they could go in and help people, but then because of the prison subculture and the prison guard subculture, that just gets morphed into something ugly.
What's the prison guard subculture?
It's the us versus them, where some guards, if they try to actually connect with you on a level so that you can talk and you can work on your problems, they're very quickly called con lover and shunned by the other guards.
But imagine the guards' perspective. Jason Gaudin will tell you that when the nurses and psychologists go home at the end of the day, it's the guards who are left all alone to manage.
If you have situations where inmates are self-harming, we're in the front line of that, having to deal with that. 1 minute of the day you could be expected to be talking an inmate out of committing suicide, you know, and the next minute you're having to go in and intervene and save their lives.
The cases of serious self-harm have almost tripled in the last 5 years. There are more mentally ill inmates than ever before. And yet, Gaudin tells me it took 2 years of intense lobbying to get just 2 days of mental health training for guards.
Do you think the guards in general are qualified to deal with the rise in mental health problems in the jails?
Not as qualified as we'd like to be. We're not psychologists, although oftentimes we're sometimes acting like that on different shifts. So in a lot of ways, yes, we are not. We don't have those clinical expertise that the other professional groups would have to deal with mental illnesses.
If you could say something to the guards, what would you say to them?
I would say, don't leave your heart in a little box in your car when you come to work. Imagine that you're dealing with all of your family members who are here. How would you talk to your sister if she was struggling in this situation? You know she's not a bad person, but something might happen and she might need someone to talk to. Treat us like that. But I mean, the guards right now are also being pressed against a wall where the system is overcrowded. They're not equipped to deal with.
So you have compassion for them? No, not really.
It's easy to have compassion for them when I'm not in the prison anymore, because the whole situation is sad. What the prisoners are going through is sad, and what the guards are going through is sad. But if I was back in there in a prison cell, I would hate them. I would resent everything that they're doing right now.
Maybe Emily is right. It's the prison itself, the culture of the place, that keeps the two groups locked up in opposition. So if we really want change, maybe this is the place to start. Nick Purdon, CBC News, Ottawa.
As Nick mentioned, prison guards do get training in the area of mental health, although Canada's correctional investigator believes the 2-day course is not enough.